and we'll kick it off. So once again, welcome from my side. Looking forward to hearing a lot about how you can conquer your customers' hearts and minds today with the help of preference management. If there's any questions while you are listening to us, please feel free to post them in the chat or the question function in the panel, and we will make sure to answer them in the end in the Q&A session. All right. Starting with a short introduction, today it's Damir and myself, Christina. Damir, do you want to get started introducing yourself?
Thank you. So my name is Damir. I work as a senior principal for the consent and preference management solution within DataGuard. I'm very passionate about this program, so I overlook the development, new features and things like this. And I think, and we will see today, it's really a great product, and it can help businesses a lot to understand and communicate with their clients.
Wonderful, thank you. And with that, yes, I'm the kind of middle part between our customers and Damir here. So as an account executive, really the first contact person from the DataGuard side, responsible for the consent and preference topic, but also for our further topics of privacy and information security. Also have a background in tech sales, but also in marketing, which is quite nicely combined here when it comes to consent and preference management. Who even is DataGuard, and maybe opening it up a little bit to give you some background. So DataGuard has been founded in 2017, so actually where I'm located here in Munich, and by now we have quite a broad customer range of over 3,000 customers, really coming from very different segments and then industries here. So as you can see here below, there are broad examples where not only the topics of privacy and information security can be put into place, but especially consent and preference management. We've just recently been through a funding round where we managed to secure a total of 81 million in the last 2 rounds, and that's really setting us up for great success to further implement new features and improvements in our platforms. What does that mean? So really, what's the background? We cover the whole PIC suite, as we call it. So that's privacy, infosec, and compliance, and have a hybrid approach in all of these different segments. So combining consultancy together with a tech SaaS solution. But today, our focus is really on consent and preference management. And with that, before we hand it over and go into a deep dive, I want you to get the chance to introduce yourself a little bit in relation to the consent and preference management topic. So if you would like to let me know how familiar you are with the topic of consent and preference management. So first option, you've been hearing a lot about it. Second option, you're very familiar, so you actually use a preference manager. And the last one would be to just, really be interested in the topic, which is obviously something that we're here for today. So giving you an introduction to it in general. I see a lot of answers there already, so this isn't going to be as close as we would think. Interesting to see. Just giving you a couple more seconds to answer. Oh, getting a little closer now. All right, thanks for your answer. Closing it now and actually sharing the answers with you. So you've been hearing, or most of you have been hearing a lot about it. That's already interesting to see. And we see that hardly any of you already use a preference manager. So I think that's a great starting point for today's conversation to give you really a very general insight to it. With that being said, handing it over to you, Damir. First big question of today, why do we even need preference management?
Thank you, Christina. Thank you very much. Yes, when we go to the next slide, please. So I like to start off with this slide because I find this slide very interesting. So we have something we call the privacy paradox, and I mean, it makes what it says is that shoppers, customers, users, they want to get personalized information. So they basically want the businesses to know things about them. And I mean, it makes a lot of sense. So I don't want to get any information which I'm not interested in. I would like to have a place somewhere where I can set preferences or give information, and then based on this, I will get back some offers and more information about the topic. But on the other hand, we see that almost the same number of people don't trust organizations and businesses, so they won't give freely the information and the preferences. The question is now, why is that? And I think a big reason is because it's not very transparent what businesses are doing with this information, and B, how they collect it. Just not to be too abstract, I want to give you some examples. So we all know about tracking cookies or analyzing shopping behaviors. We all know the big company who invented the functionality. People who bought this also bought this. So we see that there really is some effort in getting information about your customers and your clients. And then there is something I found myself very interesting. So I have this app on my smartphone. It's about photo stories, and you can follow stuff. And so I was looking when I installed it, when I started looking at it, I was interested in baking recipes because it's kind of a hobby for me. And then after a while, I realized that I was only presented stuff about baking, nothing else anymore. So I was kind of locked in. And so I guess they analyzed what I was doing, and then based on this, they presented what they thought I might be interested in. But I don't know what they're doing with this data. I don't know what how they're using it. So this makes it very intransparent. So I will not freely give my information. The thing is, how can we overcome this? If we go to the next slide, please. So what I've talked about before is all of these use cases, all of these scenarios have something in common. They have in common that the companies make assumptions based on my behavior, based on cookies, based on anything, and then they present to their users, here, we think you are interested in this. What we are trying to do with our preference management, we reverse this process. We offer or we give you as a business the opportunity to offer options to your clients. And then the clients themselves, they can decide, yes, I'm interested in this. I want to hear more about this. So this is not you presenting them something, it's them giving freely away this information. And this creates a lot of trust. And on the other hand, when I was talking about this app on my smartphone, I guess there's a way I can change my preferences, but I don't know where it is. So the second part to the equation to gain trust is to give full transparency to users, to give them in a My Account page or something that they can see everything, every preference they have given, every consent they have given, and they can change it because it can change over time. Next slide, please. And what I want to say really quick, it's not about cookies, as we will see, because it's often mistaken with cookie management. We are not talking about cookies. And with that, I give back.
Thank you. So having those two really important parts covered, which are very important as an introduction, we move it over to the million-dollar question, and that is, how do we reach our customers' hearts and minds at the end of the day? Also here, before we give it away, I would like to ask you the question, which is, which of the following tactics do you actually use to personalize your marketing communications for your customers? So is it a personalized content based on the preferences? Is it a behavioral targeting based on interactions? Is it offers and discounts based on the purchase history? Is it a tracking of third-party cookies, or actually none of the above? So once again, I'll give you 1 or 2 minutes so we know a bit better where you're standing, and See if there's a lot of progress to make with content and preference management. All right. We have most people answering here already. Last chance for anyone who hasn't put down their vote yet. And I'm ready to close it. All right. Interesting one here as well again. So we have a good share of actually really personalized content based on preferences. That's good news already. Let's see how we can even improve that further. And then for those none of the above, I think there's going to be a lot to learn and a lot of insights into what we're going to be seeing here in a minute. Moving it forward. We're getting back to the question of how we really reach our customers' hearts and minds. And for this, we have a little imagined scenario for you. So let's take an example. We have Lotus Mind Yoga. Who are they and what do they do? They have around 10 different locations across the UK and Germany, around 300 employees, and have been on the market for around 10 years. And what they really do is offering wellness services, but also some retail, and they have a website and a mobile app where their customers can book classes, manage their memberships, and access online tutorials. The thing about their customer profile is quite clear. So they know who they're targeting, they know about the profession, the age, and the gender. However, this is a very vast customer profile, and for them it's very difficult to understand who wants what. And as they are growing, it's becoming even more of a challenge. And they have really seen that standardized communication is not working for them anymore. So as Lotus Mind Yoga, Damir, can you help us with some tips on how to improve this?
Sure. And let's move to the first tip. So what I've mentioned before is give the customers the control. Here you see clearly it's well structured. The customers, when I log, this is my account page. Let's say I log in, I can see everything. I see what I have given before. I can change it anytime. Here you can also present to your users, to your customers. You can present new things. It's really, really easy to use. And what is often overlooked, I can update it anytime, because maybe there is some seasonality in my preferences. Maybe I lose interest in a topic. So this is from my side, and also from your side or from the business side, it's a good touch point when you present them what is new on your business, and then I can give direct and immediately feedback. So this would be my first tip, or our first tip: give customers the control and make it really, really easy for them to use. Let's move on to tip number 2. So it's really important, or it's important that you engage from the start. I wouldn't call it an education, but your customers, when they sign up and you present them 1, 2, 3 options to give their preferences, they will get used to the process. And what is also important here, don't do too much on the start. Sorry, there was some noise in the background. Don't overburden them at once. Give them piece by piece. And here you see very, very neatly in the sign up page, we have like 2 options. They can choose from 2 options, which is not that hard, and then they go on. And the next thing is also, you can also put in compliance from the start. We have here an example. This would be also like a consent. You can use double opt-in. So when you collect this information, also make sure that you are compliant. Let's move on to tip number 3. And this is something which I find really funny. You would think it's a no-brainer. You would think, okay, if I go through the process and I collect, as a company, I collect all this information, then I would use it somehow. But in this topic, I've talked to prospects, to clients, and I saw on their website that they are starting to collect preferences. So I can click whatever I want. I talked to a big fashion retailer, and they have really a nice setup on their page where I can put my preferences. The thing is, they do nothing with it. And this is, I mean, you wouldn't believe it, but it's true. And this makes it really confusing. And I say, better don't collect preferences if you do not want to use them. Because if I, as the user, if I give my preferences, I'm interested in ABC, but I get in information about a total different topic, then I think, hey, what's wrong? So if you collect it, please use it. And it's not a one-time thing. So we've talked in tip number 2, or in tip number 1, we talked about changing preferences. Be prepared that when your customers change their preferences, that you change your communication with them. This is also really important then. And then the customers see, okay, I've changed something, and now I get, based on my change, I get new information, or you stop giving me information. So they really feel that you understand them very well. Those would be the tips how you can use preference management to your advantage.
Thank you, Damir. Summarizing just so I understand correctly and never forget this. So what I really want to do is give my customers the control. I want to build the relationship from the start, and I really want to tailor the communications to the control they have kind of given me over in the beginning.
Exactly.
Sounds great. I have another question. You may call it the $2 million question. How can I actually achieve this? So now obviously I have some questions. How can I, or like, what can I customize about it? How do I even build those preference centers? Who needs to be involved internally? Do I need developers? Is your solution compliant? Can you shed a little light on this?
Of course. If we move on to the next slide, please. So this is really fast. You will get this. This would be like an implementation. You see all the bullet points here, but let's dive a little bit deeper. Let's see a couple of points which are really important if you want to implement consent and preference management, and how we as DataGuard implement this. So let's see what is the first key to success. The first key to success, what we have learned, is to integrate with CRMs, but not only CRMs. This could also be like marketing tools. Our clients, they already have tools. They use tools. That's, for example, like HubSpot in the LOTUS with LOTUS Yoga. So what they don't want is yet another tool which they have to learn how to operate. So they want the data. They collect the data. We give them the tools to collect the data, and we integrate our tools with their tools so they can see this information in the solutions that they already use. And this is something which we have learned is of the utmost importance. We have, as you see here, HubSpot. We also have a Salesforce integration. So together, this gives you then a full overview about your customers. On the one side, you have their address, their names and things. And then on the other side, you have what you collect through the DataGuard tool. You have their preferences and their content. And you see this all together aggregated in, be it Salesforce or HubSpot. We also have integrations into Dynamics and MailChimp at the moment. But we are building them. We are building the integrations very fast. When we see something on the market, so we are building for the known ones. But also, if you come, we have an open architecture. If you come and maybe you have something that you've built on your own CRM, we can integrate into this because we adhere to all the web standards. And this is really no problem for us. And this is key. And I want to mention this HubSpot connection, and this is no joke. To set the HubSpot connection up, it takes you maybe 15 minutes, but not more. Now let's see what is there also. Next slide, please. So now you can ask yourself, okay, how do I build all these preferences? Do I need support from developers? What are the resources? So we come up with a solution which is A, modular, and B, which is a drag and drop solution, or as I call it, a point and click. So you don't need any skills in development, programming whatsoever. You just point and click, you build your preference, we call them preference centers, capture points, you put them together as you like, you can change them anytime, you can archive them, and it's easy to use, it's fast to use, and you can basically create your first preference centers in minutes rather than hours or even days. And as you can see for Lotus Mind Yoga, it is customizable. If you want to dig deeper and maybe CSS or something, you have full control over everything. So you can brand it to your corporate identity, and nobody will see that it's from a different tool. So it will perfectly fit in anything that you have. Let's move on. This is something which is also important, because when someone gives consent or preferences and you act on this, you send an email or you call someone, and your clients have maybe forgotten, or why you're contacting me, you have what we call an audit trail, which is immutable. So you can see any change in any consent, in any preference, when it was changed, when it was given, when it was revoked, because it could be the clients call you, hey, why are you sending me this information? I never asked for it. And then you can go into the system, look inside and see, hey, excuse us, we won't do it again, but you gave your preference, you gave your consent on this day at that time through this channel, so everything is compliant. And this is really an important tool for being compliant. Next, please. And of course, you collect insights. So there's the reporting. If you don't have any reporting tool, you can do the reporting inside the DataGuard tool. You can do campaigns where you then collect who gave what preference. So you always know what your customers want, and not only what the individual want, but you see maybe a trend over time. And so you get to know your customer base even better. And you can decide on next steps because of those insights. Next one, please. And this is something which is also very important. From the beginning, involve the right stakeholders. So we have a lot of pieces here at play. We have legal. They are defining the documents. They are saying, okay, in order to be compliant, you need the correct privacy policy. You need some permission statements and things. So they must be involved. An executive sponsor is always important, because you need budget, you need resources, and they can give it to you. Marketing is often the owner of the whole project, because it's for them. They want to do marketing. They want to collect insights in the customers. And then, of course, you have IT. And with my IT background, I'm really happy to see that. The thing is, we understand how IT works, so how they have to implement. We support with the implementation with our pre-sales engineers. You can sit together, or the UIT can sit together with our developers, because it's not them who decide the tool is good or not, but it's them who decide, oh no, we do not want to implement this because it's too complicated. And so far, we have never met an IT which didn't like us, which said, oh no, we cannot implement your solution.
Sounds good. Thank you so much for this, Damir. So we implemented everything you said. We listened to you. We worked with DataGuard, and from the perspective of Lotus Mind Yoga, I think we're on the right track to achieving great things with consent and preference management. And what exactly is it that we achieved here? So a 1.5x conversion rate, increasing opt-in and email open rates that really led to a 50% increase on potential paying customers. Great news, more revenue always is. I think the middle part is really important for the trust that we're building as well. So really having zero party data, that means zero guesswork, as this data is really intentionally and proactively shared by customers. So when we then reach out to them, we know that we have their full trust. And at the end of the day, we achieved twice the marketing contacts. So really having a highly targeted communication and those touch points that help to double the contact database. Thanks for all of this success. I think it was great to see how fast we got here as well. Now, before we move on to the next slide, I want to hand it over back to you, Damir, to give us a summary of really what was, what was the overall result of the success.
Thank you. So when we move on, so this is what it's all about. We are not doing this just for nothing. In the end, you as a business want to give meaningful products, meaningful services to your clients, and this is the way how you can achieve this. We are a plug-in. We are a part of the bigger picture, but we give you the tools that you empower your users to give freely zero-party information. So no more tracking with cookies, which will be banned. This is the right tool to build trust and to have happy customers. You boost your marketing ROI, and you supercharge your database. So you're having a database with clients. You actually know what they want, and you have the means to communicate with them. And this means a lot to your business. And this builds a relationship between you and your customers, and everybody. In the end, it's a win-win situation, because your clients will be happy and you will make a good business. Thank you.
I think that sounds good in total. So we've summarized what we discussed, and we see some questions that popped in the meantime that we want to take the time and answer as well. Before we do that, one last question from our side, actually, to you. So what would you like to do next in regards to your preference management? Do you want to speak to us in a more interactive way than it is here, where we are just speaking to you? Would you like to consult with your team internally, with legal and IT? Are you maybe going straight to your executive sponsor and getting your budget approved, or is there really no urgency yet, and you would just like to generally explore the topic a little more? Feel free to answer our poll, and then we will also get a good understanding of where you are currently standing and how we can help. Giving you one more minute here. So very fast answers here. Thanks a lot for that. Closing this up, and I think here we see not quite the urgency yet. So although there isn't that much happening with our customer base here in the constant preference management part, maybe some potential we can uncover in ongoing conversations. And to those 14% that would like to speak to us, we will definitely reach out to you as soon as possible. All right, I will close this down. And Damir, I've seen some questions in the chat that I would now like to ask you, and not from the perspective of Lotus Mind Yoga anymore, but much rather from our attendees here. So first question, how should I find out if my company even needs preference management today?
So I think this is a really easy one. If you want to communicate with your clients, then you need preference management, because you want to know what they want. You want to know what they're interested in. So if you offer services, if you are a retailer, you are interested in you should be interested in your clients, and then you need a preference management.
That sounds reasonable to me, and that makes sense. So taking it from there, if my company already has a high opt-in rate with cookies, do I still need a preference manager? Maybe linking back to your first unraveling answer from the beginning.
Yeah, the answer is a clear yes, and I counter this often. Again, preference manager and preferences are no cookies. People consent to your cookies, that's great, that's fine. But if you want to get to know your users, what they really want, what they're interested in, you want their preferences, you still need a preference manager.
Okay, that makes sense. I hope we answered the questions there. I think I have another one here coming more from a privacy perspective. Does it help me with GDPR compliance? And if so, how?
Yes. We make sure that when you collect these preferences and you want to act on it, you want to communicate with your clients, we make sure that you do this in a compliant way. So there's a privacy policy in place. You can give all the information if you are asked. It is not just a web form where you click something, but behind the scenes, under the hood, if I might say so, there are a lot of moving parts. So there are a lot of parts coming together to make sure that you are fully compliant with the GDPR or with any other regulations, let's say SOC 2 when you're in the United States or somewhere, so that you can use this information actually and communicate with your clients in a compliant way.
Okay, that makes sense. And I think another one from someone who's maybe looking at it a little closer. So are preferences collect it only over mail, or how can I collect it from multiple touch points from a customer, I suppose?
That's a good one. You can you can collect it basically everywhere. You can even collect it on with pen and paper, and then you put it in the digital form. You could put it in your mobile app. We had a lot of our clients, they put this into the mobile app because a lot of people are using mobile apps. So it's not only in the email, you can put this on landing pages. So we have this, what we call capture points. This is where your clients can give preferences and consent. What we also have, you could, let's say, someone walks into a store for a generation that is not, that has maybe no internet or something. You can put in your stores, you can put, let's say, a tablet, and then someone can identify themselves with their email address, and then they can put in the store on the tablet, they can give their preferences. So there are a lot of touch points. Any touch point you can think of, I'm sure we can make it happen that you can collect preferences there.
Interesting. That's helpful to understand. All right, I think that's it so far from the questions we have from the chat. Maybe one really last one from our side to all of our attendees today. So from what you've learned so far, and maybe with a little more detail about consent and preference management, what do you think? Launching the last question, what do you think, or from your perspective, what really is your biggest challenge in managing preferences? Obviously, this goes a little more to those people already managing it. Is that collecting and storing preferences? Is that updating it in real time? Is that ensuring compliant marketing? Is that integrating with my CRM and MarTech solution, or even analyzing the data for my marketing insights? I hope you learned enough from our webinar today that you can answer this question now. Looking forward to getting some insights here. We see a winner. And giving you one more minute to answer this. Damir, what do you see with our customers is usually the biggest challenge when they speak with us?
And in the beginning, when they don't know how integration works, they are often afraid how they can integrate something which is not off the shelf. So let's say own build CRMs. So the biggest at the beginning, also when it's big, when they're big companies, how do we fit into their overall architecture? But this is something we can then overcome very quick.
That's good to understand. So you would say integrating with my CRM and MarTech solution. Yeah. Looks like today's attendees do not have this problem, but much rather other ones, which we can obviously also help with. So really, the winner here is ensuring compliant marketing. And I think since we're a privacy first company, that's something, yeah, very close to our hearts as well.
True.
Perfect. That's it from our side. Thank you all so much for taking the time to learn more about not only Lotus Mind Yoga, but consent and preference management, and really how it can help your business to improve your customer trust, improve your customer interaction, and ultimately increase your revenue. Damir, thanks for answering all of my questions, and have a great rest of the day.
Likewise. Thank you very much, Christina. Thanks
you.
to all of you. Thank you.